This is OFN Today on the Our Lads Football Network. It's our 2020 NFL Season Preview Edition with Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post at NewYorkPost.com. And, of course, yours truly. And this is it, Ryan. We have a couple more days to go. The season kicks off on a Thursday night. We get an ugly rematch of the ugly playoff win by Kansas City over Houston. So not sure if that's going to change much after, 7 months or so, but we'll see. We certainly hope so. And sometimes it does. I mean, sometimes when the Super Bowl teams, they get their rings, the whole pomp and circumstance in any sport, that's usually a pretty good time to play them. You know, their minds are not necessarily all on the game. They're actually thinking about their rings and their championships and their glory.
Yeah, you're caught looking back instead of looking at present or looking forward. But I don't know if the Chiefs are that kind of team. I certainly don't think the Texans are very good, as we'll probably get to over the course of this show. I'm not high on the Texans, so I don't see an upset happening there. But no, you're right. Theoretically, we've seen the Super Bowl winner struggle in this Week 1 matchup before.
Yeah, it's like I would have been a little bit more reluctant to go against the Chiefs had they been playing a team that I feel a little bit more confident that could take advantage of the situation.
Right. If it was Chiefs-Ravens Week 1, I'd be leaning Ravens.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. Okay, so let's get right to it. And, by the way, before we get into our previews, the big story of the week, and it didn't upset the futures market too much for Tennessee. I believe they were 40-1. No, actually, they didn't change it at all. Tennessee was 33-1 last week without Clowney. They're still 33-1 with Clowney. I'm surprised that it didn't go down a little bit.
Yeah, I am too. But it was fascinating how the TikTok, how that happened. NFL Network had, teams trying to, and I think Pro Football Talk had different teams trying, the Ravens, the Saints trying to convince other teams to sign Clowney, to pay him the signing bonus, and then trade draft picks to them to finagle the salary cap. Fascinating how that his market was quiet for 4 months, and then in a weekend it basically exploded with creativity.
Yeah, and I like it better this way. I don't like it, especially when the really good teams get better and they're able to put these little weird deals together. I mean, it's smart. It's why the smart teams win all the time.
That's it. That's exactly. You took the words out of my mouth. That's why the good teams stay good.
Yep. All right, so let's get to it. We're going to start, first of all, with the AFC Top 7. No more Top 6, so it's Top 7. And I tell you what, my one surprise that is not going to be in the Top 7, and this isn't because I don't believe in Bill Belichick. It's not because I don't believe in Cam Newton. It's because of the combination. There's so many players not named Tom Brady that have decided they're not key guys, Hightower and so forth. We're not coming back. You throw in the fact that Cam Newton, I'm not going to bet money that Cam or even my prediction that Cam Newton's staying healthy for 16 games. I'm just not going to do it. I mean, I need to see that. Prove it to me that you can stay healthy. Because I think if he stays healthy for 16 games, then yeah, I think Patriots will make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to win a game against a good team if he doesn't start in any of those games. So I think he needs to play a full season. If he does, yes, but I'm going to say that won't happen. That's why they're out. But my Top 7 will be Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Indianapolis, Buffalo. Those are my division winners. And then I'm going to go Baltimore, Tennessee, and Cleveland. So those are going to be my playoff teams, with the Patriots being the one team that sticks out the most.
Well, I disagree with you.
Good.
The Patriots are my AFC East division winner, probably my 4 seed if I'm doing it. They're probably the lowest division winner, probably 10-6, 9-7 team. But I don't know if Cam Newton plays 13 games, I think they'll win the division. And I don't think Buffalo's offense is there yet. The Jets and Dolphins. People are high on the Dolphins for some reason. I don't think they're there yet. The Jets don't have enough playmakers on either side of the ball. So I'm putting the fighting Belichick's back in the playoffs. He's probably my favorite for Coach of the Year. So I definitely have the Patriots in. My 4 division winners, I'll go in seed order. I have the Chiefs 1. I have the Ravens 2. I have the Titans 3. I have the Patriots 4. And then my 3 wild cards, I have the Steelers would be 5. The Colts would be 6. And the
You got Buffalo.
Buffalo 7. Yeah, Buffalo 7.
Buffalo?
Yep.
Okay.
So those would be my 7 in the AFC.
Yeah, Pittsburgh was the other team that I was really close. Well, I mean, not really. I mean, I have them in there as well. I mean, that I was really close to putting them even at the top. That's how high I am on Pittsburgh. So we both agree on Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh over Baltimore, Greg.
What's that?
Pittsburgh over Baltimore.
Yeah, that is something. You're right. That is an accomplishment. No question about it. So the only teams we disagree on is just New England. Is New England and Cleveland. That's it. Which you probably are the smarter one there for me to be taking Cleveland over the Patriots. But no, I am going to disagree with you. I don't think. And again, look, if they play a bad team, that's different. But if they play a team with a pulse, no, I do not think the Patriots will win a game without Cam Newton.
Let's go back to that. Why Pittsburgh over Baltimore? Baltimore has the great defense. Baltimore should have been the Super Bowl last year. They choked to the Titans. I mean, why are you going Pittsburgh with Roethlisberger off missing a season? We've seen what happened with Eli and Phillip Rivers deterioration. Why are you so high on Pittsburgh?
Well, I'm not so sure that Phillip Rivers Eli, yes. I'm not going to put Rivers in Eli's deteriorating category yet. Then again, if Eli was playing on a team with better players around him, who knows? But I have faith that Big Ben is going to be able to give at least another year or two. But most importantly, it's the defense. And I also think that overall, the talent, the skill position players that he's not. Yeah, he had Bell and he had Troublemaker. And the two of them were so good, but he didn't have a lot of depth. This time, he has more depth at the skill positions at running back, tight end, at receiver that he's ever had, I think. And I like that. I also like the defense. I think Pittsburgh's defense is better than it's been in a long time. And so if you equal things out, as far as Baltimore, I'm not on the Lamar Jackson is a superstar quarterback bandwagon. I think he's a fantastic athlete. I think he's sort of, matter of fact, if you ask me who's better, I'd say Michael Vick, because Vick could throw the football. Lamar Jackson hasn't figured out how to throw the football yet. Now, maybe it happens this year. And if it does, then everybody's in trouble. I don't think it's ever going to happen. I'm just not sold because he didn't do it in college. And it's very hard for players who never did it in college to all of a sudden do it in the pros. That doesn't mean they can't win football games. They did it, proved it last year. But when you're talking about that division, Cleveland will be better. The Bengals will be better. Pittsburgh will be better. And I think that is going to be the defining factor in why Pittsburgh will edge out Baltimore.
That's fascinating. I just expect Baltimore to be Baltimore. I just expect them to play stifling. Those two Ravens-Steelers games, they're must-watch games every year.
Yeah. And this year for sure with Big Ben back. Yeah.
We're looking at 10-7 absolute defensive pounded out slugfest, fight on the field kind of games. It'll be great football.
Yep, looking forward to it, no question. All right, so let's get to the NFC. And my top 7, I have Seattle, I have Tampa Bay. And by the way, Tampa Bay pick has just as much to do with Arians as it does with Brady. You know, anybody who's just taken Tampa because of Brady, they're their own class. I'm taking Tampa because of the combination of Brady, the talent they have, and I think Arians is a very good football coach. Dallas, Minnesota, those are my division winners. San Francisco, the Rams, and Detroit are my wild card teams.
So you have 3 from the NFC West.
Yes, I do. And San Francisco, I'm a little bit, that's the team because of all the history of teams that lose the Super Bowl. That's the team I'm a little bit concerned with. I've seen it happen so many times, whether it's injuries, whether it's hangover, but I think they have a pretty good foundation with Lynch and with Shanahan that they'll be able to figure it out, and they still have a lot of talent. So that's why I'm gonna give him a shot, because Atlanta was a team I was also thinking about, but I can't trust Dirk Cutter when it comes down to it.
You're always on Dirk Cutter. You better hope he doesn't listen to this show, because you single him out almost every episode.
Oh, trust me, it's gone back to his days since he was hired as the head coach after that dreadful career at Arizona State as a head coach.
Yeah.
That was like people criticizing what's his name over in Arizona. That's how I felt about Cutter back then. You
The
know, what's his name?
Rodriguez.
No, the Texas Tech coach is the Arizona coach.
Oh, Kingsbury.
Yeah, you know how everybody bashes him because of his college record.
Yeah,
That's how I was back then with Dirk Cutter. It's like, how the hell you hire this guy? He can't even coach a college football team, and you're going to make him a head coach of an NFL team.
Dirk Cutter. So as you know, I covered Rutgers for a long time, and Rutgers hadn't been to a bowl from 1978 to 2005. So when they went to a bowl in 2005,
that's right, Arizona State.
And Dirk Cutter was the winning coach. Yep.
That was a close game.
Yeah, it was a shootout, something like 38-35, something like that.
Yeah, they almost won. They were like a two touchdown dog, I think. They should have been. But yeah, that was a good game. All right. So, and how about you? And then we'll go over our changes.
Okay, so my NFC top 7. My division winners, let's see, I'll go in order here. So I would go Saints 1. I would go Seahawks 2. I would go Cowboys 3. I would go Packers 4. Those would be my division winners. Then I would go Bucks with a wild card 5. I would go 49ers with a wild card 6 and Eagles with a wild card 7.
Yeah, and obviously the top team that I kept out was New Orleans. That was actually, it was between New Orleans, Atlanta, and San Francisco. And it was like, really, San Francisco, New Orleans, which of the teams that are so talented that there's no way they can't miss the playoffs, right? But I don't know. I mean, New Orleans, I don't know. I mean, they're talented. I get it.
You're not going to like my postseason picks as we move on from here. Because
everybody's on New Orleans for the last couple of years, and then they get to the playoffs, and they're one and done, and well, they won a playoff game. But I don't know. There's something about this team that, I don't know, whether it's the carryover from Breeze in the offseason or maybe he's getting too old and he'll get hurt. I don't know. I just have a bad feeling about them this year, but you're probably right.
I think it's their last window. So there's two ways last wins. They're not, in my opinion, the Saints are not going to be 11-5, win one playoff game and lose in the second round. It's their last window. There's urgency that goes with that. So they either flop and go 7-9 because it's just too much for them. Bad start. They feel the pressure. They realize this isn't the year. They're starting over next year, or they win the Super Bowl.
Okay.
There's one of two ways it's going.
So you're taking the positive road, and I'll take the negative road.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. What I don't see is the 11-5 win a playoff game and lose. They're either getting it done this year or they're tanking.
Okay. And then the changes that we had, you took Green Bay and I went with Minnesota.
Yep.
And you have two NFC East teams making the postseason. I have the 3 in the NFC West.
Yep.
Including Detroit.
So I'll start with Green Bay. Everybody seems to have forgotten about Green Bay. Like, everywhere I look, Greg, it's like Minnesota's going to win the division or Detroit's on the rise. And it feels like the Packers are like the most ignored 13-3 team of all time. Like, yeah, I get it. They picked Jordan Love. You and I have dissected that, and they could have picked a receiver, but they still have Aaron Rodgers still on the team. He's still there, right?
And he's probably going to be pretty motivated this season.
Yeah. And they still, Aaron Jones is still there, right? His best running back he's had since,
And he has A.J. Dillon now as a backup.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because they lost Devin Funchess or because they didn't pick, Justin Jefferson or something. I don't know. It just seems like they still have the two guys who get all the sacks, right? Malcolm
yes, they
and
do.
Preston.
Yeah.
Yeah, they still get all the sacks.
They may not still be able to stop the run, but yes, they do have the two guys who still sack the quarterback.
I'm not picking them to win the Super Bowl.
That is right.
It just seems like people are asleep on the Packers, which is
I'm surprised about that. I'm not. Yeah, maybe it's because they won 13 games, and it's like, wow, how can you be asleep on a team that won 13 games last year?
Yeah, well, people are obsessed with their point differential analytically didn't equate to a 13-3 record. I mean, I'm all for analytics. That one I'm not buying.
See, with Green Bay, same thing I was saying like with Baltimore. I just think that the division is every team will be better, I think. Maybe
Yep.
Minnesota, who knows? That they could still Minnesota could be the same team as they were last year and still win the division, I think, because it's going to be a tougher division. No way the Packers are going to win anywhere close to 13 games in my mind. If they win the division, I think they win the division with 10 or 11 games, Green Bay. But they're not winning 13 games again.
No, I see. That is a division, Greg, where I see everybody being pulled towards 500. 10-6 could be the best team. 7-9 could be the worst.
Yep. And also, yeah, Philly. You have Philly in there as your 7th seed, and I have Detroit as my 7th seed. Yeah, look, Philly, they've got a lot of the same faces. It's about keeping Carson Wentz healthy. And whether or not they've got enough depth at wide receiver, they got all those young receivers we talked about with Elliott last week. Sanders has been around for a few years. Jason Peters is now going to be the starting left tackle.
Yeah, how about that?
I guess I don't see that as a bad thing. That you needed to do that when we talked about the offensive line last week. So that was good to hear if you're an Eagles fan. But
same kind of thing there. I think it's a story where the Eagles are kind of their last hurrah before a rebuild here. Not that their quarterback is retiring like the Saints, I expect, but they're in salary cap purgatory next year. They're going to have to redo some contracts. They're going to have to let some familiar faces go. This is kind of their last run to get in the playoffs with this particular nucleus. So I see them getting in, and part of that is beating up on the Redskins and the Giants. I mean, it's what helped the Patriots for all those years is beating up on the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Jets.
Yep.
The Eagles and the Cowboys are both 4-0 right now as we speak because they're both.
I don't know. I completely hear where you're coming from. But I don't know. I actually, because of Ron Rivera there, I expect Washington to be a little bit better. Their defense I think they have some players up front. They do. They might be able to steal a game or two than people thought. And the Giants are just a crazy wild card because they're more than likely a bad team. But you put Daniel Jones in there with Peyton. We talked about that. And Judge is going to be, I think, a definite improvement running the show. Who knows? I mean, maybe they can win a game or two. Nobody thinks.
Yeah, I'll save my Giants analysis for the next segment, but I'm not. I still see. Look, the Giants are 0-12 against the Redskins and Cowboys the last 3 seasons. They're 0-12 against them. So I mean,
yeah, the Redskins. That's not good.
Excuse me, against the Eagles
and Cowboys. Okay.
Yeah, 0-12 against the Eagles and Cowboys.
Yeah.
So the idea, it's a nice idea to think that the NFC East is a division that changes every year and whatnot, but that's not really been the case the last 5 years.
Okay, so next up, let's go to our championship picks and then our Super Bowl picks. Then we'll get into futures and all sorts of other odds and things of that nature. But championship pick, I'm going to go ahead and roll the dice in the AFC. And this is also going to go back to what you were saying about Phillip Rivers. I don't think I have faith that Phillip Rivers, who does understand the Frank Reich offense a little bit, I think that he was old with the Chargers. The crowd situation was terrible. I think it gotten so stale. I'm not surprised Phillip Rivers had a bad year. I think he's got something left in the tank. And the Colts are missing a quarterback. They've got a much better defense, and that they've had in years, in my mind. They also have the best offensive line Rivers has probably ever had in front of him. And I'm going to say that the Colts are going to play for the Super Bowl, beat the Chiefs in the championship game. And then my other championship game will be Seattle over Tampa Bay.
Wow. All right. That's interesting. So Seattle over Tampa Bay. So you have a Seattle versus
Colts
Super Bowl.
Yeah, Colts a little bit of a surprise. Seattle, I don't think they should be a surprise.
Well, I think we have two. I think we have this. Yeah, we have two commonalities there. I have the Seahawks losing the losing the NFC Championship game as well to the Saints, who we just you don't even have them in your 7. I told you I made this mistake the last 2 years. The Saints have been my Super Bowl pick from the NFC, whether to win or not, I don't remember. But my NFC representative the last 2 years, they burned me both years. I'm going back for a trifecta.
All right.
So, Saints over Seahawks, and then the chalky Chiefs over Ravens in the AFC. I just think they're so clearly, if I broke the AFC down into tiers, I think they're so clearly the best 2 teams that that's who I have to go with.
And look, I have the Chiefs in there as well. I have a new team though. I just think that the AFC, since it's so much better than the NFC, there's so many different teams that could be a playoff team in the AFC compared to the NFC, that I just think it's gonna be so hard for the Chiefs to just get back into the Super Bowl again. It's always hard. Now, winning a Super Bowl is twice, is back to back, is a lot harder than getting there a second time and losing. But I still think it's tough to get there twice, two consecutive seasons.
Yep.
All right. So my pick is going to be, I'm just going to go ahead, and if they get that far, I'm going to go ahead and put the Colts in and beat Seattle.
You have to ride if you're going to ride them to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You have to.
I have to, exactly. Because they would have, in my mind, if they got that far, a more complete team than Seattle. Okay, so who's your pick?
I'm going with the Saints. I'm going with the Drew Brees storybook, Peyton Manning, John Elway, farewell, win a Super Bowl, go to Disney, take the trophy, and then ride off into retirement. I'm taking that story for the Saints.
And then maybe he'll when he wins the Super Bowl and he's on the podium, they'll hand him a shirt. He'll put the shirt on and it'll say Black Lives Matter on it.
Yes. He look, it's been a crazy offseason.
It has been, to say the least.
Drew Brees' career is crazy, right? He's the all-time leader in touchdowns, the all-time leader in passing yards, and he's never won an MVP. He only has one Super Bowl, but no one talks about him quite like, they used to talk about Peyton Manning as the choker with only one Super Bowl. True. Drew Brees needs an MVP or a Super Bowl here to close out a career that he got. I thought he got snubbed. Remember the NFL at Super Bowl time did like the all-time best players at every position, and Drew Brees wasn't one of the quarterbacks. He was snubbed from the list of the top, whatever it was, 10 quarterbacks of all time. To me, he need a Super Bowl or MVP award puts him right where he belongs.
To get back on that list.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's now. So that's it for our just standard predictions. Now we're going to go with wagering as far as futures and the win total teams. So let's start with the futures. And what we've done is we've decided to do 5 in total. 3 top teams, and then a minimum of 2 sleeper teams. Let's just put it that way. If you want 3 or 4 sleeper teams, it's up to you. But a minimum of 2 sleeper teams. The category for sleeper is 33-1 or higher to win the Super Bowl. So in other words, long shot, 33-1 or higher. My top 5 in the AFC, excuse me, not AFC, NFC. It's just top 5. My top 5 total is
to win the Super Bowl.
To win the Super Bowl is Tampa Bay at 12-1, Seattle at 16-1, Colts at 20-1, obviously, Tennessee at 33-1. This was before Clowney. I did this on last week's show, so I feel good, even better with the 33-1, even though the odds haven't changed. And the Rams at 60-1. Now, because I needed the second sleeper, the Rams were, when I looked at the other teams that were over 33-1, they were just the team that I felt had the most potential to win a Super Bowl. They had just been there a couple of years ago. It's not what I think is going to happen, but I am looking for a second long shot, and I just think they made the most sense.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I'll bore you with my first pick, which is New Orleans at 10. I think it's 10-1.
Okay, it's not a bad number though, 10-1.
And then, I mean, if you're really asking me who could win, I would tell you the Chiefs. I would tell you the Chiefs at 6-1.
Okay.
Those would be
well, basically, if the Chiefs were to win, you basically get your money back if you actually wager on these things.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would tell you those would be my 2 safe picks. Then if I'm gonna move down the order some and I'm looking for a team, I would go. If I'm moving down the order, I'm looking for a team that would, give you a good return on investment. I would say I would take the Steelers at 25, I think, to 1.
That's a good one.
25. Yep. Like I said, I have them in a wild card. You have them as a division winner. I know people are high on them. I see them at 25-1. They have this. It's not. We've seen Roethlisberger win Super, right?
Absolutely.
So, and then if I'm going 33, can I take the Titans?
Yeah, sure. You can take whoever you want.
I'll double down with you on the Titans at 33-1. I don't understand that number.
I know.
I mean, maybe you can explain it to me. They were winning the AFC Championship game in the second quarter last year at Kansas City. They beat Baltimore in the playoffs.
Well, I was talking to Teresa Walker from the AP about it. She covers the Titans, and her side of the story is, if you look at it, nobody believed in the Jags the year after they went to the AFC Championship game. Nobody believes in any of these teams in the AFC South. They're just, the name recognition isn't there in Vegas, and people just don't put money on these teams.
Yeah, I guess. But that formula of don't turn it over for Tannehill, pound it with Derrick Henry, play defense, rush the passer.
They got a good head coach.
Yeah, good head coach. Exactly, good head coach. I just think that works. I would be very surprised if they're not, in the playoffs, giving somebody fits in January. So I'll take them at 33-1. To me, they belong in the 22 range, not the 33 range.
I agree.
And then my deep sleeper, I tossed around a couple, so I'll get
Giants.
If I have to, no, I think we both know. If I tossed around a couple, I didn't put any of these teams in my playoffs, so it feels a bit hypocritical.
I didn't put one team probably in there, did I? Oh, I did put them all in. Okay. Go ahead.
So I would say this. I would say the Falcons, who I think are in your playoffs.
That's not bad.
Same kind of thing you said with the Rams.
No, they're not in my playoffs. Remember, I'm an anti-Dirk Cutter guy.
Oh yeah. We said they were.
But I said that they were in contention. Yes.
Yeah. The same kind of thing you said with the Rams, Greg.
Yeah.
Is like they were there not that long ago. They have a quarterback who won an MVP. Todd Gurley.
I like it.
Could I see Todd Gurley rejuvenated? I could.
Even though that's the thing against Dirk Cutter is his running teams are just historically just terrible.
So, but if you want a new, sexy, up-and-coming kind of team, like the Falcons is like a last gasp kind of team. Like, can they put it together?
Oh, yeah, this is it. If they don't make the playoffs, it's a whole new regime more than likely.
Correct. My up-and-coming sexy team would probably be the Cardinals. Kyler Murray, I think, is legit. Him to DeAndre Hopkins could be record-setting. I like everything about, it's a very offense team and a very offense league. I think that the Cardinals could be a team that, almost like the Titans last year, the exact opposite formula, where the Cardinals throw the ball all over the place and the Titans ran you into the ground, but the same kind of thing as a team that nobody was thinking to be in a championship game in September is in a championship game at the end of the way.
Okay, so what's the odds on Atlanta?
50.
50, okay. That's pretty good.
Same with Arizona, 50-1.
All right, now let's go to the win total teams. So my win total teams, my 3 win total teams, they're all overs for me. And 3 of them will be playoff teams. So it makes sense. Seattle, 9.5. Buffalo, 9. And Tennessee, 8.5. Those are my 3 overs.
Okay.
I'm usually an over guy. I don't like doing unders too much unless, because that means, I don't know. I always have faith in teams. I'm a glasses half full kind of guy. It's hard for me to do unders. All right. So who are your top 3?
So we haven't even talked about this. How have we not really talked about the Cowboys on this show? I mean, I'm going Cowboys over 9.5. I think they win that division. I think Dak Prescott's in the MVP conversation. Mike McCarthy obviously brought in for this reason, because 9-7 isn't good enough for Jerry Jones. That's why Jason Garrett's the Giants' offensive coordinator. I think 9-7 for the over 9 wins for the Cowboys, 9.5 wins for the Cowboys.
I would go that way. And by the way, Mark Lawrence made sure that we talked about Cowboys on this network because he picked the Cowboys to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, look, I don't see that, but I've seen that as a trendy pick. So I certainly could see the Cowboys in my Final Four in the NFC. Winning the Super Bowl, it's been a long time.
Okay. Over 9.5. Next.
The Cowboys' big rival, the team I know the best in the NFL, the Giants.
Oh, going under.
Under 6.5.
Under 6.5.
The schedule is brutal, absolutely brutal. The secondary is not going to be able to cover guys well enough. Their second cornerback is a huge hole. The offensive line, I'm not sure, is fixed after 3 years of Dave Gettleman promising it would be fixed. I just think in the NFL, if you can't cover and you can't block, you can't win. And the two things the Giants are going to struggle with the most is covering receivers and blocking pass rushers. So I just under 6.5 is, to me, is they've won 12 games the last 3 years, and I think they're probably on that pace again.
All right.
So,
And your
and
final
then,
team.
Not to be too repetitive here, but I'm going to go back to the Titans. I'm going to go over 8.5 for the Titans. I know they're 33-1. I know people are sleeping on them. I just think the Titans are a 10-win, 11-win team. I think some of that AFC South bias you were just talking about is applying here.
All right, there you go. So, Saints are your team to win the Super Bowl. And let's see, we both, I guess the headlines of our preview show is that we both like Tennessee. We think they're being disrespected. You've got the Saints winning the Super Bowl, their last hurrah.
Yep.
And I have the Colts.
A lot of last hurrahs. The Eagles making the playoffs with this group. The Saints winning the Super Bowl. I'm a big last hurrah kind of guy here.
And for me, I've got Phillip Rivers. He doesn't have many hurrahs left. Yep. So it's his chance to win a Super Bowl, because that would be big for you. Talk about Breeze winning 2 Super Bowls. Boy, what a difference it would be for Phillip Rivers. He actually won one. Yep. That completely changes his history.
Let me add something to your format here, Greg. Give me maybe he's the offensive player of the year. Maybe it's an MVP. But give me the quarterback, the non-quarterback. Because we know the MVP award goes to a quarterback every year, right? It's going to be Mahomes or Jackson. Give me the non-quarterback who has the best offensive season in the NFL. Maybe he's the offensive player of the year. Maybe this is the crazy year where a non-quarterback wins it. Who's the player in the NFL who's not a quarterback who has the best offensive season?
Wow. Then I'd have to go into my fantasy brain and think about those fantasy players at the top of the list.
Is it Elliott? Is it Christian McCaffrey? Is it Saquon? Is it Michael Thomas? Is it DeAndre Hopkins? Is it
no, none of those.
None of those.
No. Let's see.
Derrick Henry? Is it?
Yeah, it's Henry's. Considering he didn't win an MVP last year, and we both really like Tennessee, I think Derrick Henry has established his footing already now. So if he goes and does it again, and Tennessee has a really big year, then Derrick Henry could be the guy.
Okay. For me, it's somewhere between, again, back to the Saints, it's somewhere between Michael Thomas, who's just an absolute monster every year, and Saquon Barkley. As bad as I think the Giants are, I think Saquon Barkley is in for a 2,400-yard season between rushing and receiving. That's a very rarefied area. You're talking about maybe 10 guys in NFL history who have cracked 2,400 all-purpose yards from scrimmage. Yards from scrimmage, not all-purpose, because that includes returns. Talking about maybe 10 guys with 2,400 yards from scrimmage, and I think Saquon could be sitting on that number this year in Jason Garrett's offense.
Yeah, and I hope that, for football's sake, that Barkley doesn't have like a Barry Sanders type of career, and that the Giants can start winning soon, and we can start seeing Barkley on the big stage, because they have a short shelf life, so maybe he's got 5 years?
Maybe, yeah, that's probably fair. 5-6 years.
So that means 2 years more of rebuilding. You got a 3-year window to make sure you get it right, and it's not a lot. So, let's hope so for football's sake, because the kid's incredible. And if you didn't watch, if Giant fans didn't watch college football and they had no idea how good this kid was going to be, shame on them, because he was so awesome at Penn State.
Yep. I had a famous tweet that is actually the relationship builder between me and Saquon. When I was covering Rutgers in 2014, I'll try to make this story short. When I was covering Rutgers in 2014, Saquon had committed to Rutgers and didn't go. He ended up flipping to Penn State. And so he made his first career start for Penn State against Rutgers as a true freshman in September. And Rutgers was coming off a year where it had rushed for 2,000 yards, went to a bowl game, and didn't have a 500-yard rusher. So they had 4 different running backs, all with about 400 yards rushing. It was very unusual. One of them won a bowl game MVP award. So I had tweeted in the middle of that game in September, I don't know where Saquon Barkley would fit in this loaded Rutgers backfield. And Penn State fans swallowed me up, and 6 years later, they still dig up that tweet and tweet it at me and mock me all the time. And so when Saquon got drafted by the Giants and I was covering the Giants, I blew it, like one of those Ed McMahon blow up big checks.
Uh-huh.
I blew up the I blew up the tweet on a big piece of poster board like that and handed it to Saquon, and we had a good laugh about it because I was like, "Have you ever seen this?" And he's like, "Oh, I've seen this. Many Penn State fans have sent this to me."
Yeah.
So shame on while you're shaming everybody for not realizing how good Saquon was. He's better than even I did, and it was my job to realize it. So
Yeah, well, hey, it's another top NFL player or college player that spurned Rutgers. So
yep, just like Jonathan Taylor.
Yep.
Who I think could be the NFL.
And Ron Dane.
Yep. Everybody is sleeping. Everybody is ready to give the Rookie of the Year to Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
That's right. Look out for Jonathan Taylor.
Or to Joe Burrow. I think Jonathan Taylor has a very, very good case for that. And I think Patrick Queen from Baltimore has a chance to steal it from Chase Young, Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Well, we start to get real football Thursday night, and then we get a whole smorgasbord of football over the weekend, starting on Sunday, a couple games on Monday. It's just 2 games on Monday, I believe, right?
Yeah, Giants, Steelers, and Titans, Broncos.
Okay, so at least, yeah. And it's just, I know next week when we talk again, one of the first things that we're going to talk about is how weird watching football with no fans.
Yeah, I'm hoping to be at the Giants game on Monday night. So, still no word on how many people they're credentialing and whatnot, but I'm hoping to be there on Monday night and actually get a in-person feel for it.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that would make. I mean, they would just put you up in the press box anyway.
Yeah, but they're going to limit the number of people that.
I mean, I can see that because you don't. Yeah, because it's. I mean, they were like, those things are usually crowded.
Yes, they're not going to let 250 reporters.
You don't need to. Yeah, you don't need that many. But I would think that you guys would be able to get in. I mean, that's.
I would think so.
I would think so. All right, sounds good. Appreciate it as always, Ryan. We'll talk to you again, I guess, next week, right? We don't have anything scheduled the rest of the week so far. Who knows? Either later next week or this week, or definitely once next. No question, we won't talk again until the season kicks off.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Ryan. All right, that's Ryan Dunleavy. I'm Greg DePalma. We'll see you next time here on the OFN Today.